Gravity Falls has been out since June 15th of 2012, and to this day it has a fan base so strong that it is still active. I first want to start this off by saying I have a huge connection to Gravity Falls. Maybe a wee bit unhealthy, but I love this show. Every aspect of this show hits really close to home for me. My sisters and I bonded over the show. I can play the theme song blindfolded. I carved a jack-o'-melon for Summerween, which is my birthday. Heck, if you watch this show with me for the first time, I might ruin it for you because I can say each episode's script word for word. I've watched it so many times. This show tugs on my heartstrings more than any other show, and does for a lot of other people. So today we are going to whip out our magnifying glasses and delve deep into why everyone is in love with the show. On so many levels, this show is relatable to everyone. Whether you're an embryo or if you're 99 plus, this show seems to grab your attention in some way. A younger audience may be really into the fact that this is a coming-of-age show, and they feel like they are growing up alongside Mabel and Dipper. Maybe some lonely people, like myself, can relate to the idea of unrequited love that keeps popping up throughout the show. Maybe you have a local crazy in your neighborhood that reminds you so much of Fiddleford. Maybe you are older and love GRUNKLE Stan and his humor. I don't think I've met a single human being who doesn't like Stan. Just saying. What I am trying to get at is there is at least one reason why anyone can relate to the show, and there is a reason behind that. Alex Hirsch, the creator of the show, uses a lot of references to his own life that the show almost seems like an autobiography, but in a good way and not the way that makes you want to snooze. You can find a lot of aspects of Alex in the character Dipper. Alex's twin sister Ariel can be seen in the character Mabel. The entire show is greatly based off of his childhood when he and his sister grew up in California and would visit their grantee in Oregon. Which brings me to another point of relatability. The Mystery Shack is based off of a real place in Oregon, or places. It's inspired by roadside attractions such as the Mystery Spot in Santa Cruz and the Oregon Vortex in Goodhill. The show takes a form like no other. You are capable of getting off of your butt and exploring in the perspective that the characters of the show perceive Oregon by taking a road trip to the Pacific Northwest. Now that we know that the show is heavily based on real-life events that took place in Alex Hirsch's life, we also should understand his viewpoints on the show. Many people will say that 40 episodes was not enough, and that they could have made a lot more money if they made it an ongoing show like The Simpsons or The Walking Dead, or something like with many seasons. But Gravity Falls only has 2 seasons and 40 episodes. I will agree that yes, this show could have made a lot more money if they made more episodes, but I'm glad that they did not make more. Again, this is where relatability comes in. Because it's a summer vacation, Alex wanted to make sure it felt just like that, a summer vacation. He didn't want it to ramble on. Oh, excuse me. I think I got something in my throat. In all seriousness, though, I do want to compare Gravity Falls to Phineas and Ferb because they both have the same setting of it being a summer vacation. Hear me out. I love both shows. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but I do enjoy watching both. The thing about Phineas and Ferb is that it feels long. It's the same reoccurring plot each episode. They build something, Candace becomes a psycho Karen, and the boys don't get caught. Perry beats up Doofenshmirtz, the end. Now let's compare Phineas and Ferb's 189 episodes, even though there's only 104 days of summer vacation, to Gravity Falls' 40 episodes. Gravity Falls is a different episode each time with different sub-conflicts in each episode. Because Gravity Falls' summer is so finite and Phineas and Ferb's summer is not, it makes Gravity Falls' summer vacation more relatable and feels like you are really living in their summer vacation with them. This is a subcategory of relatability, but it's worth mentioning. When you go to Disneyland, you go because it's an escape from the real world. You have all of these mythical creatures and fantasy characters with a dash of magic here and a little pinch over there. That seems to be every cartoon, every movie you watch. It's just fantasy. Adventure Time? Nothing about that show is reality. Regular show? Nope. How about Steven Universe? Nuh-uh. Now you can debate with me about this and say, well, Gravity Falls is literally fantasy too because there's no such thing as superstitious creatures. But it plays off of this idea in your head that there is. And that's why it grabs your attention. For instance, yes, Bill is a magical demon. He is a mythical being who was made up for the purpose of this show, and where that may be the case, there is a lot about Bill that seems so real. And that is because he reminds you of something. Whether that be the devil, maybe the Illuminati, he reminds you of this higher power and gives you this sense of fear. I mean, look at him. He literally only shows up and gives you what you want if you make a deal with him and shake his hand. Where have we seen this before? This all-knowing being who controls space, matter, and time? The triangle with one eye who is in control of the world affairs? Like, come on, of course this character is going to resemble something of a real-life fear. And with all the superstitious creatures that are in this show, they still play on this ongoing theme of mystery. Let's face it, many of us dreamt of being the one to find the Loch Ness Monster and have that fame and fortune, and the idea of wanting to go out and find these creatures is incredibly intriguing. Heck, when Stanford and Dipper go into the alien ship, I was foaming at the mouth because aliens, like, come on. Even all of the fantasy aspects of the show can be tied into the common theme of mystery. Whereas other shows just want you to love this incredibly new world so you can escape reality, Gravity Falls still keeps it down to earth. In Weirdmageddon Part 2, Mabel is seen in her bubble called Mabelland, which is her perfect representation of summer. It's just that. It's perfect. It's a fantasy land, and it reminds me a lot of many of these other shows. Like, look at the colors. I know many people were angry with this episode, but I genuinely loved it because of the court case fantasy versus reality. It felt like the writers knew what they were doing with the scene. Yes, it is true. Many people watch a show to escape harsh reality, and the show really played on that. Dipper showed Mabel that reality really isn't that bad because, yeah, it bites you in the butt cheek sometimes, but it does have its moments. So that whole court case was incredibly relatable. Let's be straightforward. We all know that we love this show for the mystery that it is, but it really pulled you in with all of those hidden messages. Heck, even the theme song was a friggin' message. Each episode had its end credits, but let's be honest, no one was looking at the people's names. Not to say that they didn't matter, because they did an incredible job, but we were all looking at the cryptograms. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, really were eager to find out what these codes meant. That they took it to a whole other level, and you can look them up. I'll leave a link down below. But the effort that was put into these messages is astounding. It really added to this mystery and allowed not only the characters to experience the mystery, but also allowed the viewers to go on a hunt as well, which in turn was super rewarding. So we've covered the codes and the messages at the beginning and the end of the episodes. Now how about the ones inside the episodes? These ones were the most appealing. It kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time. You couldn't help but feel this twisted feeling in your stomach when Gideon said his spells or when Bill said his final words. Everything was thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, thought out. It completed the puzzle that is Gravity Falls. I think one of my all-time favorite messages within the entire series is in the episode The Inconveniencing, when Mabel is on a sugar high. These messages alone told you what to expect for episodes to come, and if you didn't know what they were, you were really surprised and confused. This show was so interactive that it appealed to many people's wishes for a good mystery. We're going to give characters their own little slides because they are packed full of goodness. Dipper, being my favorite character, has the greatest development in this show. We've established that Dipper is greatly based off of Alex Hirsch himself, but let's take a look at how Dipper really is. He so badly wants to be mature and seen as an older, more sophisticated person rather than as a little kid. Time and time again, this is seen throughout the series. In The Legend of the Gobblewonker, Dipper daydreams of becoming famous and acts super stuck up in an interview. In the inconveniencing, Dipper so badly wants to hang out with people older than him, to be one of the guys, and to save everyone he has to do a little kid dance. In Dipper versus Manliness, I'm not even going to explain that, that's self-explanatory. In Summerween, he's too old for trick-or-treating. It's literally the same internal issue. He wants to be older than he is. Many younger people, especially when I was first watching this, could relate to how Dipper feels. He's tired of being seen as this cute little kitten sneezer and wants to be taken seriously. This is why Dipper's character development is so good. He goes from wanting to be mature but trying to achieve that in an immature way, like taking a manly voice potion or taking a manly strength test, to being mature in a genuine way. Dipper isn't perfect, and that's something that makes these characters so lovable, is they have issues. They address them and they try to fix them. Dipper, I think, is the best at doing this because he really does think about Mabel. Like, for instance, when he was offered an apprenticeship, he first thought about what would Mabel think. He's selfless. Not to mention he likes Baba, which is pretty much ABBA, and I love that the writers incorporated that.
Disco girl, coming through, that girl is you. Don't come in, don't come in!
Now that we know that Dipper is mature and that it is his character, we can almost relate to this maturity into reality. Dipper is down to earth. He sees things as they are and accepts them as reality. Remember that for later. For now, we will move on into Dipper's love life. For me personally, I don't care if the characters crush on anyone or date anyone, that's fine. I'm just really happy that it didn't cross any boundaries, especially since the characters are children. Dipper likes Wendy, who's 15, older than him, and that is an unrequited love. The thing that I find funny is Dipper's approach to talking to girls. He's so awkward. Even when it's with other girls, he's just this awkward tendency looking thing, and it totally goes against his maturity act. What the writers really did well was how they let Dipper realize that it's okay if they don't love you back. In Roadside Attraction, Dipper attempts to get over her, but he doesn't do it in a good way, and instead sets him back. But the thing is, he tried and failed, and his failure brought him to reflect and understand where he went wrong, so by the time Weirdmageddon Part 1 rolled around, he was ready to accept that letting go is okay. Dipper shows you throughout the series that failure is okay. Also, Dipper is smart. His power and his confidence stems from the journal, and without it, he loses that confidence. Each time he beats Bill with Mabel and has his journal to help him, he felt in control. But in Weirdmageddon, the one thing that made him feel powerful and made him feel like he was worth something was destroyed. This was an excellent write because it showed Dipper that he is capable of anything, and he doesn't need a journal to prove himself. Excellent character, excellent development. I love it. Mabel is the complete opposite of Dipper. Dipper being this mature reality character, Mabel is this immature child living in a fantasy. The contrast helps so much with these two. They're each other's yin and yang. Mabel throughout the show is constantly seen doing really funny, childish things. I mean, she's lovable, she's laughable, she's the sweet little innocent kid. I feel like whereas younger kids might relate to Dipper more, older bats like myself tend to relate to Mabel more. Mabel is everything we wish we could be again. She's full of life, she's able to do anything because she's carefree and giggly and can eat as much candy as she wants and get away with it.
11.
It really makes her character enjoyable. The thing about Mabel is, in the episode The Last Mabelcorn, she sees herself as pure of heart, as the selfless child who'd give anything to anyone. I think that's true to an extent. I actually think Mabel isn't as selfless as she is selfish. If you think about it, time and time again, she always gets her way. Dipper sacrifices everything so that she will be satisfied. In The Hand That Rocks the Mabel, she wouldn't tell Gideon she didn't want to go on a date, but instead let Dipper do it for her. In The Deep End, she made Dipper lose his job just so she could save her merman boyfriend. But I think the most upsetting one is in Dipper and Mabel versus the Future. Instead of understanding why Dipper wanted to have an apprenticeship, she only thought of how lonely she would be, and literally caused the end of the world because of it. Now, don't get me wrong, she does have her moments of pure sweetness, such as in Weird Mageddon Part 2. In the fantasy versus reality case, she gave all her Valentine's cards to Dipper. That was adorable. But I'm just saying, she isn't as selfless as she thinks. I will say this, though, and I think this is one of Mabel's best qualities, is she is loyal and trustworthy. In Not What He Seems, Mabel had every opportunity to shut down the machine with all the odds against Grunkle Stan. She still chose to trust him.
I wanted to say that you're gonna hear some bad things about me, and some of them are true. But trust me, everything I've worked for, everything I care about, it's all for this family.
Mabel, what if he's lying? This thing could destroy the universe. Listen to your head.
Look into my eyes, Mabel. You really think I'm a bad guy?
He's lying. Shut it down now.
Mabel, please.
10, 9.
Uncle Stan?
6, 5.
I trust you.
That was a heart-touching moment, and that's a moment anyone would have been like, heck no, shut that thing down. But no, not Mabel, so I will give her that. I love how she's this bundle of joy but still has her flaws. She really is an awesome character. Grunkle Stan is like your cool grandpa. I don't know about everyone else, but I definitely see a lot of my grandpa in Grunkle Stan. I don't know if it's because of the dad jokes or the dark humor, but Grunkle Stan is hilarious. Let's be real here. Have you ever had a sibling that was like the perfect child? I'm not sibling. Have you ever felt like you were in the shadow of a sibling and maybe you wanted to rebel a little bit so you could finally get some attention? If so, Grunkle Stan is probably your guy. He knows how that feels. The fact that he was able to get on with his life and try to make a living on his own, even though he was a con man, like at least he was trying. Let's say someone wronged you. Maybe all you want is an apology. Nothing else. You just want someone to be genuine and understand their mistakes and fix them. And they don't apologize, but instead tell you how you are in the wrong for something. They did. Don't you think you'd be a little bit upset? I think people really overlook the situation between Grunkle Stan and Stanford, whereas Stan was a bit dramatic. He still had every right to be mad when he didn't even receive an apology. I also think it was super selfless of Stan to sacrifice everything to save the world. Love that. Love that. He may seem like this dark, mysterious character, which he is, but that almost seems to make you love him even more. Yo, I'm gonna just skip all the way to the ending because this is where it matters to me. Throughout the entirety of the show, fans were always like, yo, the Zodiac will beat Bill, look, it's Dipper and Mabel, blah 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 blah. Alright, so I loved how they gave it to you. The answer to defeating Bill was what the fans wanted all along. This kind of concludes my main points. I tried asking my brother why he liked the show, and his answer was, because you cried when it ended. And that hurt. Got me right in the feelings. I know there's plenty more, but again, these were my main points, and if it kept up, this video would have probably lasted an eternity. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know. I actually kind of enjoy doing them. If you watch till the end, say it in the comments, because I want to see who's giving me this watch time. You know what I'm saying? Who deserves a cookie? You good children. Alright, later simps. Bye.